Hello, my friends, and welcome to our fourth day of the week of the young child. It is Artsy Thursday. Happy Thursday, everybody. So, today for Artsy Thursday, we have so many fun things planned. I'm very excited. So, the first thing that we're going to do is make puffy paint. So, I'm going to help you with that. So, we are going to make puffy paint together. And then, after we make puffy paint, Miss Grace is going to take you on a virtual museum tour. You're going to get to look at all kinds of art. Miss Grace is going to talk about it. It's going to be very fun. I'm very excited to see the virtual museum tour. And then after that, Miss Tamara is going to teach you how to make cloud dough, which is like Play-Doh, but it's puffy. Oh, it's going to be so much fun, my friends. So that is what we are doing today. And so right now, like I said, we're going to make puffy paint. And puffy paint is kind of like regular paint, except it's thicker. Right, my friends? So usually when you paint, you can barely see it. It's very flat. But puffy paint sticks up from the paper a little bit. So it's 3D, so it looks more like something is like coming up off of the paper. Puffy paint is very fun. You can use it to make posters, you can use it to make art, you can use it to make it look like something is really tall and really 3D when it might be very flat because you're using some paint. So puffy paint is very fun, and I'm very excited to make it with you. And so I'm going to talk now about what materials we're going to need to make the puffy paint. So before we get started, you probably need an adult for this activity to help you measure everything and make sure that everything is safe. And I'm doing this activity inside my house, but you can do this activity outside. I decided to do it inside so that my camera could see me and that you all could see what I was doing. But if you want to do it outside, this is a great activity to do outside, and the sun will make the puffy paint look very cool on whatever you decide to paint. And so now I'm going to talk about the materials we need. But the first material that I am going to get out is this newspaper. And so I have an old newspaper here that I'm just going to use to cover my space to make sure that I don't make a big mess all over my table because I do not want to clean up that mess. And so I'm going to prevent the mess by putting down some newspaper so that if I spill anything, it's only going to get on the newspaper and it's not going to get on me or on my table. So if you're outside, you probably don't need to worry about it, but if you're inside, you should put something down like newspaper. You can put a trash bag down. You might have a table cover or something. And so see what you need to put down to make sure that you don't make a big mess. Okay, so now that I have my newspaper out, we are going to need 4 main ingredients for our puffy paint. So we are going to need 1 cup of water. So I've already measured my water. And so we have 1 cup of water. So 1 cup of water. And next we're going to need some dish soap. So we're only going to need a small amount of dish soap, but I brought the whole thing so that I can measure it out for you. So we need some dish soap. You can use whatever kind you have in your house. This is just what I have at my house. And we're going to need some flour. So this is just regular white all-purpose flour. You can use any kind of flour that you have at home. So flour. And then the last thing that we're going to need, which is my favorite thing, is the food coloring. And so I have 3 colors of food coloring. I have yellow and red and blue. And so I have these 3 colors of food coloring, but we are going to take just these 3 colors and turn them into a rainbow. So I'm going to make red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and purple puffy paint using just these 3 colors, and then I'm going to paint a rainbow. So my friends, these are the ingredients. We have our flour, dish soap, 1 cup of water, and food coloring. You can use whatever color food coloring you have at home. I have these 3 colors, and so that's what I'm going to be using. And now we're going to need some things to put the puffy paint in and to measure it out. And so the first thing that I have is this bowl. I have a big bowl here, just any kind of bowl that you have in your kitchen is fine, and a spoon that I'm going to use to mix my paint. So I have this bowl, and then we're going to need to measure out our ingredients. And so I have my big thing of measuring cups here, but we only need 2 measuring cups. So the first one that we need is the tablespoon. So my friends, this is a tablespoon. It's like a little spoon, and we're going to use that to measure out our dish soap. So we need the tablespoon, And the next one that we need is the cup, which is the very biggest one that I have. And we are going to use this one to measure out our flour. So we need our cup and our tablespoon. So I'm going to put them here in my bowl. And then the next thing that we need is we're going to use this bowl to mix together the flour, water, and dish soap to make our paint. And then we're going to use separate containers or separate things to put the paint in before we color it so that we don't mix it all together. So right now I'm just going to use these little sandwich bags. And so I wrote that color that I'm going to make each one of these puffy paints on the bag. So this one is yellow, and we have green and blue and purple and orange and red. So my friends, I'm going to make the rainbow like I said, and so I have 6 bags that I'm going to use to put the different colors in. But you can use small plastic containers if you have them. You can use sandwich bags, you can use snack baggies, you can use anything, smaller bowls, and mix each of the colors into smaller bowls, anything you want to keep the colors separate. This is just what I'm using. And then we're going to need some scissors, which we won't use until the end of our puffy paint when we're getting ready to paint, but we have them. And some construction paper. So like I said, puffy paint can show up on really dark colors. So it can show up if I painted on this black construction paper. So that's what I've decided I'm going to paint on. I'm going to paint my rainbow onto this black construction paper so you can see how cool the puffy paint is. And it's going to be really bright, even though this is very dark paper. So I have these things that I'm going to use for after I have made all my puffy paint and I am going to make my art with it. But first we have to make our puffy paint. But before we get started, I just want to tell all my friends, we are putting flour, water, and dish soap into this bowl. And that is not something that we can eat. We cannot eat it. So I don't want, no one should put it in their mouths. We should not be trying to eat it or lick it. It's not going to taste good. And it's going to make your tummy upset. It's not going to be good for you. It could make you sick. So do not eat the puffy paint. We're just going to use it to paint and make art. All right, my friends. So the first thing we're going to measure out is our flour. So I have my big container of flour here. And we are going to use that 1 cup measuring cup that I said we were going to need. And we are just going to scoop 1 cup, and we want it to be even on the top. And so I'm just going to scoop the flour off so it's nice and even. We get 1 cup of flour, and now we're going to put that in our bowl. So that's all the flour that we need, my friends. And so now I'm going to put my flour over here so that I don't accidentally knock it over. And then we're going to put that 1 cup of water that we already measured out. That's 1 cup, so it's the same amount of flour and water. I'm going to pour that into our bowl. And then I'm going to put my measuring cup over here. And then we're going to take our spoon and we're just going to mix these together until there's no more lumps. So we're just going to mix it, and mine looks a little bit, it looks like a little bit like dough almost. And it smells kind of like dough because it's got so much flour in it. So I'm just going to mix it up until there are no more lumps and it's all mixed together. My friends, mine looks like this. And now we're going to add 1 tablespoon, so that's this smaller spoon of dish soap. Oops, I dropped my food coloring. Good thing I have my newspaper set out so that I don't make a mess. All right, let me go messy. Very glad I have my newspaper so I didn't spill. We're going to take our dish soap. We're going to measure out 1 tablespoon of dish soap. All right, and then once we have our 1 tablespoon, you can see that it's there. And we're just going to pour it in into our bowl. And then I'm going to put my dish soap aside. And I'm going to put my tablespoon measure aside. And now we're going to mix this dish soap in with our flour and water mixture. All right, so you just want to mix it all together, make sure that it looks like it's the same consistency, it looks the same all the way through. So mine looks very similar to after we mixed the flour and water together. So now we have our base. This is what I'm going to call our base paint. So this is like a white colored paint that we're going to use. And so now we are going to make each of our individual colored baggies so that we don't have to make a bunch more paint. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first get one of my bags. So this is my red bag. And so I'm going to open my red bag and make sure that there's room for the paint to go in it. And then I'm going to take my spoon and pop some paint in there. I'm going to do 2 spoonfuls of my paint. Okay, and now I have to add my color because this is still just a white tan colored paint. And so I'm going to add red because this is my red bag. So I'm going to do 5 drops of red. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Beautiful. And so now we're going to close the red food coloring. Then I'm going to zip this baggie up very, very tight so that I do not make a mess. And now I'm going to mix it all together with my hands in my baggie so I don't make a mess and it's all safe inside the bag. So if you're using bowls or something else, you can shake. If you have containers, you can shake it. If you have like smaller bowls, you can be using a spoon, but I am just mixing it with my hands here. So look at that, my friends. This is a little bit pink, but still it's going to be my red puffy paint. So now I have my red all mixed up. So I'm going to put it aside. And now I'm going to make my orange. So we're going to follow the same steps. So I'm going to open my bag. Okay, make sure that there's room for the paint to go in. And I'm going to do 2 spoonfuls of my base mixture, my white paint mixture. Okay, and my friends, I don't have orange food coloring. So how am I going to make orange? I just have red, yellow, and blue. Well, this is my favorite thing about colors. When you mix 2 of these colors together, so these are called the primary colors. These are yellow, blue, and red. These primary colors, when you mix 2 of them together, they make a new color. And so I'm going to take my red and my yellow, and I'm going to do 2 drops of red. 1, 2, and 3 drops of yellow. 1, 2, 3. Amazing. And so now I'm going to close those very tight so they don't spill. And then I'm going to close my baggie up very, very tight. And I'm going to mix it again. Just swirling it in between my fingers. It feels very soft and squishy. Let's see. We are slowly getting orange. We might have to add a different mix of colors to get the orange. It looks like this is mostly yellow. So I'm going to add 2 more drops of my red food coloring to hopefully make it look a little bit more orange. 1, 2. Amazing. And now we're going to zip it back up very, very tightly and mix it again. And hopefully we'll get a little bit more of an orange color this time. Scraping it, scraping it. I'm going to put it down on my newspaper and just move it around and get some of that. All right, my friends, so this is a little bit uneven. I need to mix it a little bit more, but it is orange. So now I have my red and my orange, and now I'm going to do my yellow. So again, we're going to follow these same steps. We're going to open the bag, take 2 scoops of our paint base mixture. Okay. And now we're going to dye it yellow. So I'm going to do 5 drops of just my yellow food coloring. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Amazing. And now we're going to seal it very, very tight so that none of the puffy paint comes out. And we're going to do our mixing again. We're going to make this mixture of puffy paint and food coloring. And look at how yellow it already is, my friends. Very, very bright yellow. So I'm going to mix it a little bit on my newspaper again. So that way we can make sure that it's a little bit more even, a little bit more evenly distributed, the colors. So we're going to pull it down, pull it down. All right, my friends, so there we go. Oh, there's a little bit of food coloring in this corner, but we have yellow puffy paint as well. All right, friends, so we're halfway done making our colors. I'm so excited to see what they all look like. I'm making my green now. So again, we're going to start the same way. I'm going to do 2 scoops. 1 and 2. And like I said, my friends, I don't have green, right? I just have yellow, red, and blue. But since these are our primary colors, our yellow, red, and blue, we can mix 2 of them together. So if I mix yellow and blue, that's going to make green. So I'm going to do 2 drops of blue. 1, 2. Oh, my friends, I just realized you cannot see that. Hold on. And 3 drops of yellow. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and now we're going to seal it. And just like with the orange, we might have to adjust the amount of coloring I put in there. We might have to add more yellow or more blue. We'll just have to see how it goes. Ooh, friends, look at how green. Oh, I'm very excited. This is a very pretty green. It looks like the grass outside, which is one of my favorite things that is green. I love the way that the trees are green and the leaves are green outside. It makes me so, so happy when I look outside and I see everything looking so nice and green like it does right now in the spring. It's getting there. Getting there. All right, friends. Wow. This is a very, very nice green color that I've made here. So now we're going to put the green aside and we're going to make blue. We're almost done, friends. We have 2 colors left. So open our bag for our blue, make sure that there's room, and we're going to take 1 scoop. And 2 scoops. So we have 2 scoops of our puffy paint base mixture. And now we're going to put 5 drops of blue food coloring. 1, 2, come on, 3, 4, 5. Looks like I'm running a little bit low on blue, but I think we'll be able to make it. Okay, so now we're going to close our baggie again. So we're going to push the air out and mix this up. Squishing it between my hands, making sure we mix all of that food coloring into our base mixture so that it turns out nice and even. Let's see, I'm trying to think of things that are very pretty that are blue. I love the ocean and I love Lake Michigan. I think that it's so pretty. It looks so, the water looks so blue. The sky has been so pretty lately. It's been looking very, very blue. I love the color blue. All right, my friends, so now I have my blue puffy paint as well. It's also a little bit uneven, but that's okay. I know what it's gonna look like. It's gonna look very pretty because I made it, and I made it in this baggie so I can see it. All right, my friends, we have our last color. Only thing we're missing is our purple paint. Purple is actually my favorite color. The school that I go to, Northwestern, all of our things are purple, which is very, very fun because I love wearing purple. All right, my friends, so 1 scoop of our base paint and a 2nd scoop of our base paint. And we are almost out. So it looks like we divided this up very well, very evenly. So we're gonna do 3 drops of red and 2 drops of blue to make our last color, our purple. So we're mixing red and blue to make our purple. So 1, 2, and I hope that this turns out okay, but we can always adjust the amount of food coloring that we put into it if it doesn't end up being a pretty purple. So now I'm gonna mix it. Mixing it all together. It is looking out like it's going to be a very pretty purple. I don't know how well you can see it. I can see that it's nice and purple, but I'm not sure what it looks like for you all. So it's a little bit hard to make the colors like the color that I want them to be in these baggies because it's a little bit harder to mix, but I know that this is the best way for me to do it. That's not going to make a mess. So we are going to work with it. We are going to, look at that. I made purple. I don't know how well you can see that, friends, but I did make purple. And so now we have all of our colors. So we have our purple. I'm just going to give them each a little bit more of a mix, and I'm going to move my bowl so I don't knock it over. And we're also done with the food coloring, so I'm going to set that aside as well. So I'm just going to mix my paints up one last time. So I have my purple and my blue and green and yellow orange and red, which again is a little bit pink, but that's okay. It's not quite as red as my shirt, but yeah, it's getting there. All right, my friends, so now I have all of my colors of the rainbow. So if you made your paint in baggies like me, I'm going to show you how I'm going to paint my rainbow. But if you made your paint colors in small bottles, then you're already ready to go. You can just squeeze them. And if you make them in small bowls, you might need a paintbrush, or you can ask the adult that you're with if you can use your fingers to paint. But what we're gonna need now, if you have the sandwich baggies, is some scissors, which is how we're going to get the paint out of the bags. And you need something to draw on. So like I said, I'm using this black construction paper. I'm gonna put it here. And the way that I'm gonna make my paint is I'm going to take my bag that I'm going to use my red first. So I'm going to take the bag of the color that I want, and I'm going to make sure that all the paint is in one corner. And then I'm going to squeeze the corner, and I'm going to cut off a little bit of this corner. So I don't want all the paint to just fall out. So I'm going to tilt it back a little bit, and I'm going to cut off the tip of the sandwich bag. And now I am gonna make my red for my rainbow. Oh, I got a little bit on my hand. And then I'm gonna put it on my newspaper, and that's what I have. Or actually, you know what? I'm gonna put it in my baggie, in my bowl, so that it doesn't make a big mess on my table and on my newspaper. So you can see, my friends, it's tall. The paint is tall. So now we're going to make the orange part of our rainbow. So we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to squeeze all the paint into the corner. And then I'm going to snip off the corner and make our orange paint here in our rainbow. And then I'm going to put my baggie back in the bowl, like I said. Oops, I accidentally snipped the corner into my thing, but I'm just going to wipe it on my newspaper so that I don't get it on my table. All right, friends, and now we have our yellow paint. So we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna squeeze it all down the bag and over to the corner. And we're gonna snip off that corner. And then we're gonna make the yellow part of our rainbow. Woo. Ooh. All right, friends, we made the yellow part of our rainbow. So I'm gonna put that bag away now. And now we have our green. I think that this is a very, very pretty green color, and I'm really excited to see what it looks like in my rainbow. We're gonna snip the corner off, and then we're going to paint the green section of our rainbow. So my friends, if you are using baggies like I am, the amount, oh no, I dropped my blue right in my rainbow. That's very funny. It's very silly, friends. So I'm just gonna wipe it on my newspaper. I'm very glad that I was ready to accidentally spill something by putting down my newspaper. So if you're using baggies like I am, the amount of paint that you cut off of the tip when you are getting ready to use it, that is going to tell you how wide what you're drawing is going to be. So if you cut it really, really close to the end, it's going to be really, really thin. And if you cut it a little bit thicker, a little bit further up, your paint is going to be a little bit thicker. And so I'm going a little bit like medium, I would say. So I'm just going to cut off a little bit of the tip, and then we're going to paint the blue part of our rainbow. Okay, and I'm going to put that in my bowl so I don't make a big mess. And now we're going to use our last color, which is our purple. So we're going to squeeze all of this purple into one corner, and we're going to snip it off. And we're going to squeeze that into the purple part of our rainbow. Amazing. And then we're going to put that in the bowl as well. Okay, friends, so this is my puffy paint rainbow. Oh no, my friends, I spilled my rainbow everywhere. Wow, I guess if you're making this at home, do not show it as much as I am because it might fall. But here's my puffy paint rainbow. You can see that it like stands up off of the paper, and I have some on my hands. So I'm gonna make sure I wash my hands because like I said, my friends, we cannot eat this flour and puffy paint mixture. We cannot eat it. So I'm going to have to wash my hands very well. But you can use this puffy paint to make all different kinds of art. You can make another batch of it if you want. You can make a rainbow like I did. And again, friends, be very careful because you all just saw the mess that I made. But you can use it to make art like this that sticks up off the paper. You can use it on poster boards. You can use it for all kinds of very fun art projects. And so this puffy paint will stay good for 1 week. So you can use it again for another week, and then it needs to be thrown away and it won't be good anymore. But it's very, very fun. And I love this puffy paint. I had a great time making it, even though I spilled it all over myself. I think that this is a very fun, and it's very silly. I think that this is very silly. I got a rainbow on my hands, my friends, and I think that this is very fun. You can wash this out of your clothes if you get it on you, but be really careful that you don't get too much on you because it's going to take a while to wash out. But nonetheless, this is a very fun puffy paint activity, and here is the rainbow that I made. All right, my friends, so thank you for joining me for making puffy paint for Artsy Thursday. Again, friends, do not eat this paint if you make it, and be very careful about where you are because like you saw, it can get a little bit messy. So I'm really glad I put this newspaper over my table. All right, friends, so in the next video, Miss Grace is going to take you on a tour of the museum, which is going to be so fun and so cool. So I hope that you have a really good time with that. Happy Artsy Thursday, friends. All right, bye.